So the Austrian Grand Prix didn't go according to plan for Red Bull. Even though Max Verstappen qualified on pole, he ended up struggling to match the pace of Ferrari during the race, whilst teammate Sergio Perez ended up retiring after a crash with George Russell left his car with too much damage to continue. And it seems Red Bull are angry with Perez following the crash, but on top of all this, things got very heated between the race officials and drivers during the weekend, with Verstappen among other drivers voicing their opinions on the way things are policed. So Perez was trying to overtake Russell on the outside of turn 4 on lap 1, although the two came together which sent Perez into the gravel. The crash also saw Perez suffer extensive floor damage, and as a result it left him with so little downforce that he was too slow to even keep up with the rest of the pack, hence Red Bull's decision to retire him. Now this isn't the first time this has happened. I mean, it's pretty much a carbon copy of what happened at the same track in 2020. Alex Albon in the Red Bull was trying to go round the outside of Hamilton at turn 4 when the two came together, which sent Albon spinning into the gravel. In both cases, the Red Bull was further ahead than the Mercedes through the corner, and the Mercedes driver ended up with a penalty. But following what happened in 2020, Red Bull didn't want it to happen again, and according to Red Bull advisor Dr. Helmut Marko, the team instructed Perez not to go for a move around the outside of turn 4, yet did it anyway, and as a result, Marko has been quite critical of Perez, saying what he did was unnecessary. He was quoted by Sky Sports Germany as saying, "We said before the start, do not go around the outside in that corner, that's not possible. This was just unnecessary, we've seen that before and it doesn't work. After that, the car was damaged and it made no sense to continue driving. There was a lot of damage to the floor, he might have finished 2 laps behind, so it didn't make sense to continue, it was better to save the mileage." Now for me, I think it would have made more sense to wait and for Perez to get him the next lap or even lap 3 when he's got DRS. I think it would have been an easier move and likely guaranteed Perez a podium. But I also understand that in the heat of the moment, as a racing driver sometimes you feel you just have to go for it when the opportunity is there, as you never know, it may not come again. So it is a tricky one, but based on the fact that the Mercedes wasn't as fast as Red Bull, and given what happened in 2020, I do think it would have been better to wait a bit longer to make the move. Now things did get a bit heated in Austria between the drivers and race officials. It started when Sebastian Vettel walked out of a drivers' meeting, with his anger understood to be linked to the policing of track limits and inconsistency in approach by the two race directors, Niels Wittich and Eduardo Freitas. For example, the policing of track limits in Austria was so strict that so many drivers were ending up with black and white flags and even penalties, but at other races it hasn't been policed as harshly. There's also the way wheel-to-wheel racing is monitored. I mean, the FIA said at the start of the year that if a driver is overtaking on the inside of a corner, they must have a significant portion of the car alongside to be given space, and a driver overtaking on the outside must also have a significant portion of their car alongside for space. But whilst Russell was punished for the incident with Perez in Austria, in Silverstone we saw Perez cut a corner to get a place and drivers being forced off track even though they were significantly alongside, but no penalties were issued. Now Russell feels the rotation of the race directors is a factor in the consistency of how the rules are applied. He told motorsport.com, "I agree we need to stick to one race director. We need to have a bit more consistency with the stewarding. We come to the following event and often the steward at the previous event isn't there, so there's no accountability, no explanations of decisions. We ask questions and it's difficult to get a straightforward answer because almost a bit of blame is being put onto someone else who isn't there, so it's tricky, everyone has their own interpretations." And Verstappen said things need to be made better regarding how track limits and racing is policed. He said, "There are things we have to look into how we can make it better. Because also for the stewards and just the people involved with checking these track limits. I mean, it's almost impossible to check these kinds of things because you need like one guy on one car the whole race to check the whole lap if he's not going outside of the white line. Where on this track at least, in some phases you naturally get penalised if you just go a bit wider and you touch the gravel. These kind of things, I think it just doesn't look good for the sport as well, and this is just one thing. Then the other thing is racing incidents and stuff. Yeah, for sure we can do better. I think we will work on it, we'll try to make it better." Now for me, I do feel more consistency is needed. At least when there was one race director there was better accountability. but now different decisions are being made at different races because of the rotation of race officials, and it's leaving drivers and us as fans confused as to what is allowed and what isn't. For example, I thought the racing in Silverstone was great, but some of it went against the rules but was deemed acceptable. Now consistency has always been an issue in F1, but I feel it's getting a bit out of hand now with not just the rotation of stewards, but the rotation of race directors as well. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care